Hey guys, welcome back to our New Beekeeper series. This is episode 2 of the series. This will be covering frames. So last episode was about woodenware, so if you haven't seen that, make sure to watch it. It's got some good info in it, the basics of what you should be looking for with woodenware. Anyway, when it comes down to frames, you basically have two options. You have three technically, but one is for specialty comb or cut comb. Well, you have more options for cut comb, but I'll go over that at a later time when we get into our products. So you have these frames, which are your mediums or honey supers. Then you have your deeps or brood chamber. You can see the size difference here. Both of these have black foundation in it. You can go black or white, it doesn't matter. I choose black, especially for my brood chambers, because it allows you to see the white eggs a lot better. So that's one little trick. You can buy these as just a frame in a 100 pack. I think they're 80 cents a piece or so through Better Bee when you buy 100 of them unassembled, so you'll need a staple gun. They're a little bit of work, but they'll save you some money. I personally run the Wedge Top Bar. It means that I don't know if you can see it, but there's a wooden strip right here that is separate. You put your frame in, put that in, and then staple it in place to make sure that your foundation doesn't move around and everything is tight, so no matter how hard your box bounces or anything, it's secure. When you go to replace it, it can get kind of tricky. It just takes a little longer, but I think it's a good option, especially for the new beekeeper, because it makes sure that you have quality woodenware that won't fall apart for years to come. So your other option when you're buying your deep frames is I bought a box off of Amazon that was ready to run. I believe it was in the $50 price range, and as you can see, it's not quite the same quality. So this is woodenware and frames, like I said in the woodenware episode. It's one of those things that you really want to spend a little bit of money on. You can always get more bees. You shouldn't always be buying new woodenware. This is something that you should invest in up front, and it will last you years to come. So this is one of the frames that I have sitting around. If you look, I have to hold this corner shut because they missed a staple. That's why I'm not telling you where I bought this from. But anyway, that's no big deal. I could restaple that. But if you look, this foundation wiggles all around because it's not a wedge top bar, it's a groove. So you can pop these out like this and replace them. But there's no options here for what I'm about to show you. So what I've transitioned to from foundation, because each one of these foundations runs about $1.25, something like that. They can get down to like the dollar range itself if you buy 100 of them. Again, you really want to put some money into it. I would suggest buying 100 of them, maybe going in with a friend who wants to get into beekeeping, splitting them. But you always want to have frames on hand. Even if you don't assemble them all, keep them in the box. You'll need them. Buy them at the right price point, and you'll thank yourself for years to come. So these wedge bars, I like the wedge, even in my mediums. The newest thing that I've come to is doing foundationless with the Wedge Top Bar frames. So each frame is, the 80-90 cent mark when you buy 100 of them. And your wedge bar, which you can see is on an angle standing on edge. So when it's standing on edge, it actually gives the bees a ledge to draw down from. And I haven't yet, but I normally run fishing wire through the bottom two sets of holes here. The bottom from the top, one of the middle holes, and the bottommost hole. So that gives them two strings that'll come across very tight to hang on to, because they won't draw and touch this whole thing on the bottom probably the first year, unless they're a really big hive and this is one of the middle frames, because bees like to walk all around it. So you'll see that when compared to a foundation frame, bees naturally draw down and out. It's like as they go. They don't always find this pattern on a wall and go, oh, well, we can build out from this. That's not a thing. So this is a more natural process, and it saves you the $1 to $1.25 per black foundation. Now, you have to watch, because if you have all of this straight across and there's a lot of open void, bees can draw sideways, so you gotta watch them. But I think this is a great option. Again, that's a wedge top bar. You just rotate it on its side, staple it in place, and it kind of gives them a template to draw down. And I've had great success with this, and they draw way, way faster. Your other option, just so you all know, for your cut comb is called a shallow frame. Shallow frames are like the 4-inch mark or so, and they are used for cut comb. People cut them out once they fully draw with a foundationless setup. They cut the comb out and they put it in a little package and they sell it as cut comb, which is technically a niche market. They have things like Ross rounds, which we'll get to when we get into the product section. Ross rounds basically tell you about they are essentially the top of a mason jar. The bees can go up and draw the inside of it, maybe a little deeper, draw the inside of it, and then when they're done, you take it out, put the cap that came with it on it, and you have a product. You don't have to do any cutting, anything of that. But that's investment. So starting out, I would start with either mediums or deeps and your woodenware. So our next video will be all about our bee nukes. So stay tuned. Thanks.